Ah, welcome back, you beautiful, unreadable mysteries. You walking enigmas that make reality stutter. You absolute terrors dressed in human skin. I heard something delicious today. Something that's going to make you smile. That dangerous smile you keep hidden from the cameras. They went to a fortune teller. Yes, they did. The ones who've been obsessing over you. The ones who whisper your name like it's a curse they can't break. The ones who claim they moved on but still check your page at 2 a.m. When the loneliness gets loud, they pooled their money together, desperate and trembling, and they went to see someone who reads futures, who interprets fates, who claims to see what's written in the stars and buried in the cards. They needed answers, because you've become the question that keeps them awake, the problem they can't solve, the mystery that's eating them alive from the inside out. They sat across from her, this fortune teller, with her candles and crystals and ancient eyes that have seen 10,000 souls pass through her door. They probably rehearsed what they'd say, how they'd phrase it without sounding obsessed, without admitting that every day, without understanding you, feels like drowning in questions. We need to know about someone, they whispered. And just speaking those words made their hands shake, because deep down they knew, this wasn't going to go the way they hoped. She shuffled her deck, those cards worn soft from reading countless destinies, countless futures, countless souls who thought they had time to change what was already written. She told them to focus, to pour their intention into the reading, to think clearly about the person whose fate they wanted revealed. And here's where it gets beautiful. Here's where the universe showed its sense of humor. Here's where reality bent just enough to remind them that some things were never meant to be known. She laid out the first card, and her face changed. Not slowly, not gradually, but instantly. Like someone who just looked into an abyss and realized the abyss was staring back with your eyes. She placed the second card, and her breathing shifted, became shallow, became careful, like someone trying not to wake something that should stay sleeping. By the third card, her hands were trembling, and by the fourth, she was sweating in a room that suddenly felt 10 degrees colder. They leaned forward, desperate to see what she was seeing, desperate to understand why her confidence had shattered like glass hitting concrete. She stared at those cards for what felt like hours, but was probably only seconds. Seconds that stretched and twisted and groaned under the weight of what she was witnessing. And then, and this is the part that's going to live rent-free in your mind forever, she gathered every single card. Not just the ones she'd laid out, but the entire deck, cards that had read thousands of futures without flinching, and she held them over the candle flame. They gasped, tried to stop her, asked what the hell she was doing, but she wasn't listening anymore. She was protecting herself from something she'd never seen before, something that made her years of experience feel like kindergarten finger painting. The cards caught fire, curled and blackened and turned to ash, while she whispered something under her breath that sounded like a prayer or a warning, or both. When they demanded an explanation, when they grabbed her shoulders and shook her and begged her to tell them what she saw, she looked at them with eyes that had gone somewhere ancient and terrified. "Don't even try," she said, her voice hollow like someone who'd just witnessed the end of something fundamental. "Whatever you're planning, whatever you're scheming, whatever revenge or reconciliation or manipulation you think you can pull off, don't even try. That person, the one you asked about, they're not on the same board anymore. They're not playing the same game. They're not even in the same reality you're operating from. You go after them, and you won't just lose. You'll cease to make sense. Walk away while you still recognize yourself in the mirror. And then, she refused their money, pushed it back across the table like it was contaminated, like accepting payment for reading your future would curse her bloodline for generations. You want to know what she saw, don't you? You want to know what images flashed across those cards that made a woman who communes with the unseen world every single day. Choose fire over knowledge. Let me paint you a picture based on what we know about you, about what you've become, about the frequency you're operating on now that makes the universe itself pause and recalibrate. She saw a transformation, but not the kind humans usually experience. Not the gentle butterfly emergence from a cocoon kind of transformation. She saw scorched earth transformation, the kind where something dies so completely that what rises from the ashes doesn't even remember being human, doesn't even recognize the rules it used to follow. She saw a timeline fracture, a point where you split from the reality they're still living in and stepped into something else entirely, something that operates on different laws, different logic, different consequences. In her cards, she saw them approaching you with their plans, their manipulations, their carefully crafted schemes, and she saw those plans dissolving like sugar in acid before they even got close. Not because you'd fight back. That's the terrifying part. Not because you'd defend yourself or counterattack, but because the reality bubble they operate in can't penetrate the reality field you've constructed around yourself. They'd speak their poison, and you'd hear white noise. They'd lay their traps, and you'd walk through walls they can't see. They'd try to hurt you, and the weapons would turn to dust in their hands. The fortune teller saw something else too. Something that made her burn the cards, rather than let that knowledge stay in the physical world. She saw what happens to people who pursue you now, not as a threat or a curse, but as a natural consequence, like gravity or entropy or time. She saw them lose themselves piece by piece. Not dramatically, but quietly, insidiously, the way a reflection fades when you stop looking at mirrors. She saw their certainty crumble, their identity blur, their sense of reality soften around the edges, until they couldn't remember why they cared so much, couldn't remember what they were fighting for, couldn't remember anything except a vague sense that they'd touched something vast and indifferent and been forever altered by the contact. In those cards, she witnessed the future where they actually succeed in getting close to you again. And it was worse than any defeat, because you'd look at them with those eyes that have seen too much, and survived too much, and transcended too much. And in that look, they'd see themselves clearly for the first time in years. They'd see their pettiness magnified, their pain revealed as performance, their strength exposed as borrowed confidence, their entire identity as a costume they'd been wearing so long they forgot it wasn't skin. That moment of clarity would break something in them that no amount of therapy or time or distance could ever repair. Because once you see yourself through the eyes of someone who's died and resurrected multiple times, once you measure yourself against someone who's transmuted suffering into power, there's no going back to comfortable delusions. And perhaps most terrifying of all, she saw the possibility that you wouldn't even notice them. That's the real nightmare hiding in those cards. The scenario that made her hands shake so badly she nearly dropped the deck before she burned it. She saw them orchestrating their grand return, their perfect revenge, their flawless manipulation. And she saw you, just existing, unbothered, moved by concerns so far beyond their comprehension that their entire drama wouldn't even register as a blip on your radar. She saw them screaming for your attention while you're building empires in dimensions they don't have eyes to perceive. Saw them throwing stones at a mountain that doesn't know stones exist. Saw them trying to wound something that's already died so many times that pain is just another language. You speak fluently, but no longer need to prove you understand. Let's talk about what you've actually become, because this is where it gets wild, where the metaphysical meets the psychological and creates something nobody has proper vocabulary for yet. You're not operating on the same frequency anymore. That's the simple truth. But the implications of that truth are absolutely devastating to everyone still stuck on the old bandwidth. Think of it like this. You were once a radio playing the same station as everyone else. The frequency of drama and validation and fear and need, and all those delicious toxic entanglements that make human relationships feel important. Then something happened. Multiple somethings. Betrayals and abandonments and losses that should have destroyed you according to the standard human operating system. But instead of breaking, you tuned yourself to a completely different frequency, one that most people don't even know exists, because it requires dying first, requires letting everything you thought you were burn away, until only the indestructible core remains. Now you're broadcasting on a wavelength that sounds like silence to people still tuned to drama, looks like nothing to people still focused on surface appearances, feels like absence to people who measure presence through need and reaction. You're there. More there than you've ever been. But you're there in a way that makes their instruments malfunction, makes their detection methods fail, makes their understanding of reality glitch and stutter. This is why the fortune teller burned the cards, because her cards are tuned to human frequency, to the bandwidth where cause and effect still operate predictably, where intentions manifest in recognizable patterns, where futures unfold according to emotional logic. But you've stepped outside that system entirely without even meaning to, without even knowing you were doing it, simply by surviving what should have killed you and coming back clearer instead of harder, sharper instead of bitter, focused instead of angry. You're not playing their game because you can't even see the board anymore. Not out of ignorance, but because you're perceiving dimensions of reality they don't have senses for yet. When they think about approaching you, when they fantasize about confrontation or reconciliation or revenge, they're still thinking in terms of emotional chess, strategic moves, psychological warfare, all the old human games that used to work. What they don't understand, what they can't understand until it's too late, is that you're not on the chessboard anymore. You're not even in the room where the game is being played. You're somewhere else entirely, building something they'd call impossible if they could perceive it, living a reality they'd call fake if they could imagine it, existing in a state of being they'd call arrogant if they could comprehend it. But they can't. And that gap, that fundamental incompatibility of frequencies, that's what the fortune teller saw that made her choose fire over completion. You've become untouchable, not through defense but through transcendence, not through armor but through transformation, not through fighting but through evolution. And here's the cruel, beautiful truth. You didn't do it to hurt them or impress them or win against them. You did it to survive. to process pain too massive for the old version of you to contain, to find meaning in suffering that would have turned anyone else into a cautionary tale. And now that you're here, operating on this frequency that makes reality bend slightly in your presence, they can't reach you even if you wanted them to. The fortune teller saw this, saw the fundamental impossibility of their plans. Not because you're strong, strength can be overcome, but because you're unreachable, operating in a layer of existence their tools weren't designed to access. But let's be honest for a moment, because this script isn't just about celebrating your power. It's about acknowledging what that power cost you, what you paid in the currency of innocence and trust, and simple human softness. The fortune teller didn't just see your invincibility, she saw the graveyard you had to walk through to get there. She saw every version of you that had to die screaming so this version could be born. She saw the nights where you wanted to surrender, but couldn't, because surrendering would mean admitting they won, would mean validating every cruel thing they ever said about you, would mean proving their dismissal correct. She saw you holding yourself together with nothing but will and spite when love and support had abandoned the building. She saw you learning to be alone, not the romantic solitude of main characters in movies, but the terrifying practical reality of having no safety net, no backup plan, no shoulder to collapse on when the weight got too heavy. She saw you teaching yourself to be strong when you wanted to be held, to be independent when you wanted to be chosen, to be self-sufficient when you wanted to be valued. She saw the tears you cried in showers, where the water could wash away the evidence, the screams you swallowed so neighbors wouldn't hear, the breakdowns you had in your car between destinations because that was the only private space you had left. She saw all of it. Every moment of agony you transformed into fuel. Every betrayal you alchemized into wisdom. And here's what made her burn those cards. Here's the part that was too much for her professional distance to handle. She saw that you'd do it all again. That given the choice between staying soft and becoming this, between keeping their love and finding your power, between fitting in and breaking free, you'd choose this path every single time. Not because you're masochistic, not because you enjoy pain, but because you finally met yourself on the other side of all that suffering and realized you like this version better than any version they would have allowed you to become. She saw that you don't regret the transformation, even though you mourn what it cost. Don't wish you could go back, even though you remember when things were easier. The fortune teller saw your scars. And here's what terrified her about them. They weren't wounds anymore. They were blueprints, architectural features of the fortress you've become, load-bearing walls in the structure of your new identity. Every place you broke is now reinforced with something stronger than bone. Every place you bled is now sealed with something harder than scar tissue. Every place you shattered is now rebuilt with material quarried from the core of the earth where normal human pain can't reach. She saw that touching you now wouldn't hurt you. It would reveal the person doing the touching, would show them how shallow their depth really is, how performative their pain really was, how temporary their transformations really are. She saw the loneliness too. The price no one talks about when they romanticize this kind of evolution. She saw you at tables surrounded by people who don't speak your language anymore, in conversations that feel like wearing shoes 3 sizes too small, in relationships that can't hold the weight of what you've become. She saw you choosing silence over explanation, because explaining would require them to have context they'll never possess, would demand they understand experiences they'll never survive, would need them to acknowledge realities their comfortable worldview can't accommodate. And she saw you at peace with it. And that's what made her burn the cards. Because peace, after that much war, shouldn't be possible, shouldn't be sustainable, shouldn't feel like home. So here's the million-dollar question. The one hanging in the air like smoke after the cards burned. The one they're probably asking themselves right now as they sit with the fortune teller's warning echoing in their minds. What happens if they ignore the advice? If they decide they know better than someone who communes with forces beyond the material world? If they convince themselves that surely, they can reach you, affect you, matter to you one more time? What happens if they try anyway? If they craft their perfect message, orchestrate their perfect encounter, plan their perfect revelation, or revenge, or reconciliation? Let me tell you exactly what the fortune teller saw but couldn't bring herself to speak aloud. First, there's the approach, and already things start feeling wrong for them in ways they can't quite articulate. The message takes longer to write than it should. The words keep rearranging themselves. Nothing sounds right, because they're trying to speak to a version of you that doesn't exist anymore, trying to press buttons that have been disconnected, trying to use access codes that have been changed. They'll rewrite it 40 times, each version feeling more desperate and less authentic, until finally they send something that feels like a translation of a translation. Words that used to mean something profound, now landing like pebbles thrown at a mountain. And you might not even see it for days. Not because you're avoiding them, but because you're genuinely busy living in dimensions where their drama registers as background static. When and if you do respond, and here's where it gets devastating for them, your response will be polite, measured, completely devoid of the emotional charge they were counting on. They wanted anger because anger means you still care. They wanted coldness because coldness means you're defending yourself. They wanted anything that would indicate they still have the power to move you. Instead, they get courtesy. The kind of courtesy you'd extend to a stranger asking for directions. The kind of neutral kindness that's somehow more distancing than any insult could ever be. And in that moment, they'll feel it. That sickening realization that they don't matter anymore. Not as a villain in your story, not as a lesson in your journey, not even as a memory that keeps you up at night. But let's say they persist. Let's say they can't accept the reality that they've become irrelevant to your narrative, and they push harder, demand more, try to force confrontation or closure or acknowledgement. This is where the fortune teller's warning becomes prophetic, because pursuing you now isn't just futile, it's corrosive to their own sense of self. Every interaction where you remain unbothered erodes their confidence a little more. Every moment where you clearly have better things to do than engage with their drama chips away at their sense of importance. Every time you politely extract yourself from their attempts at connection, they're forced to confront how small their world has become, while yours has expanded. They'll start checking your social media obsessively, looking for signs that you're thinking about them, that you're affected by their attempts at contact, that you're even aware of their existence in any meaningful way. And they'll find nothing, or worse, They'll find evidence of a life so full and focused and forward-moving that there's clearly no room for them in it. No space where they used to fit, no gap where their absence should ache. They'll see you thriving, growing, building, connecting, all without any reference to them or the shared history they thought was so defining. And this will break something in them that the fortune teller saw clearly. The narrative they've been telling themselves about why things ended, about who was at fault, about who won, the final stage, the one that made the fortune teller refuse their money and tell them to walk away while they still could, is when they realize that you genuinely wish them well. Not in a performative way, not with underlying bitterness or superiority, but with actual authentic hope that they find peace and healing and growth in their own lives. This sincerity, this lack of grudge or gloating, or need for them to suffer, will be more devastating than any revenge could ever be, because it means you've processed the pain they caused, integrated the lessons, and moved so far beyond the hurt that you can see them as fellow struggling humans rather than villains in your story. And when someone you've hurt forgives you without needing anything from you, when they release you completely without ceremony or declaration, when they genuinely don't need your apology or acknowledgement or anything at all, that's when you're forced to carry the full weight of your actions alone. 2025 isn't creeping in softly. Nah, it's stalking you. A beast hiding in the shadows, waiting to see if you're ready to claim your throne or crumble under the weight of your own hesitation. These next 5 months, they're not just months, they're war zones. And the battlefield isn't out there, it's inside you. You think you have time? Let me tell you something, time doesn't wait. It doesn't care about your excuses, your fears, or your maybe next year lies. These 5 months are the edge of a cliff, and you're standing there, teetering. One wrong move, one moment of doubt, and 2025 will pass you by. You'll watch it from the sidelines, chained to the same regrets that have haunted you for years. This isn't the calm before the storm. No, this is the storm. The kind that rips through your life, tearing down everything weak, fake, or unprepared. And you've got a choice. Stand tall and face it, or let it devour you whole. Picture this: the world is moving on, faster than you can blink. Every day someone out there is grinding, fighting, bleeding for the dreams you're too afraid to chase. Do you really think the universe will hand you success while you sit back, waiting for the right time? Nah. Success doesn't wait for anyone. And neither should you. These months aren't just about goals. They're about survival. They're about proving to yourself that you're not the same person who kept making excuses last year. That person? Bury them. Leave their doubts in the dirt. Burn every shred of hesitation in the fire that's rising inside you right now. Your dreams? They're not waiting patiently. They're screaming for you to act. They're chained up, suffocating under the weight of your fears. And the key, it's in your hands, right now, not tomorrow, not someday. Now. You know what these 5 months are? They're your reckoning. The universe giving you one last shot to wake up and take what's yours. The storm is here, and it's not here to break you. It's here to see if you've got what it takes to rise from the rubble and roar. Forget the people who doubt you. Forget the voices that told you you'd fail. Forget the moments you stumbled and fell. None of that matters now. What matters is what you do today. What matters is how hard you fight to carve your name into a world that's already written you off. Close your eyes. Picture 2025. not as a distant goal, but as a beast staring you down, daring you to step up. These months are your only weapon. So will you sharpen your edge? Will you charge forward, relentless and ruthless? Or will you let time strip everything away? Let me ask you this, if these months define the rest of your life, how hard will you fight for them? Will you rise and conquer? Or will you sit in the ruins of what could have been? The clock is ticking. The storm is raging. And you're the only thing standing between failure and triumph. So stop waiting, stop doubting, stand up, fight. And make damn sure 2025 remembers your name. Not every enemy shouts their intentions. Nah, the deadliest ones. They move in silence. They hide in plain sight, wearing masks of kindness, draped in the soft fabric of love, concern, and advice. But don't be fooled. Their whispers are poison. Their touch, a leash, ready to pull you back the moment you try to break free. These aren't strangers. Oh no, they're close. Too close. Friends, family, colleagues, people you trust, people you love. They're wolves in sheep's clothing, circling you quietly, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. They won't attack you head on. That's too obvious, too risky. Instead, they'll smile as they slip doubt into your heart. Are you sure about this? Maybe you're aiming too high. Don't get your hopes up. Sound familiar? It's not concern. It's control. It's their fear of your potential wrapped up in sweet words designed to keep you small. Because your growth, it terrifies them. Your ambition, it's a mirror they can't face, showing them everything they never had the courage to pursue. Picture this, you're building a fire. Your dreams are the flames, your efforts the fuel. But someone's standing close, too close, smiling, watching. And in their hand, a bucket of water ready to douse everything the second your back is turned. Who's feeding your fire? And who's silently trying to snuff it out? You better figure it out. Fast. These next 5 months are war. And in war, you don't just fight the enemies in front of you. You watch your back. You spot the saboteurs, the ones who laugh with you in the daylight but plot against you in the dark. Listen closely to the voices around you. Who's telling you to keep going, to push harder, to fight for what's yours? And who's planting seeds of doubt, telling you to be realistic, to slow down, to wait for the right time? You think that's love? Nah, that's fear. That's envy. That's them trying to keep you trapped where they are. And here's the brutal truth. Not everyone deserves a seat at your table. Some people are only there to take, to weaken, to drain you. It's your job to cut them loose. Because if you don't, they'll drag you down before you even realize what's happening. Imagine this moment. It's the end of 2025. You're standing on the mountain looking back at everything you've conquered. But who's with you? The ones who pushed you forward, or the ones who tried to pull you back? You can't afford to keep blind spots anymore. The wolves are watching. And every second you waste doubting yourself is a second they gain. So ask yourself this: who's building with you and who's secretly tearing you down? Who's lifting you higher and who's clipping your wings while pretending to care? The answers might hurt, but facing them is the only way forward. The wolves in the shadows are waiting. Don't let them win. Keep your guard up. Keep your fire burning. And when they try to strike, let them choke on the smoke of your unstoppable rise. Your greatest war isn't with the world. It's with yourself. The real battlefield, it's not out there, it's in here. Your mind. Every doubt, every fear, every distraction. They're not just thoughts, they're soldiers marching relentlessly, trying to invade, to conquer, to overthrow your will. Picture this: your mind is a castle, strong, impenetrable. But every time you entertain a doubt, what if I fail, or am I good enough? You're lowering the drawbridge. inviting the enemy in. And trust me, once they're inside, they'll wreak havoc. Fear will light fires in your confidence. Doubt will crumble the walls of your ambition. Distraction. That's the spy that sneaks in quietly, dismantling everything from within. But here's the thing, this isn't a battle you lose because of others. Nah. This is a battle you lose because you didn't defend the gates. Because you gave those enemies space to breathe, to grow, to fester. So let me ask you this, who's ruling your mind right now? Is it you? Or is it your fears whispering lies about what you can't do? Is it your doubts convincing you to stay comfortable? To stay small? Or is it the distractions pulling your focus away from what truly matters? Let me tell you what happens when you lose this war. You settle. You give up. And the worst part? You'll justify it. You'll tell yourself, maybe this wasn't meant for me, or it's not the right time. Lies. All of it. Your mind is the most powerful weapon you'll ever have, but only if you learn to wield it. Treat it like a fortress. Guard it. Strengthen it. Every time doubt knocks on the door, slam it shut. When fear tries to climb the walls, burn the ladder. And when distraction sneaks in, cut it off at the root. Here's how you win this war. You become the ruler of your thoughts. Every time a negative voice rises, you drown it out with your own. Louder, stronger, more determined. Every time fear says you can't, you respond with watch me. This is your battleground, your throne. Will you sit on it like the king or queen you are? Or will you let your own mind overthrow you? Remember this, the greatest victories are born from within, and the greatest defeats, they happen when you let your guard down. So fortify your mind, strengthen your resolve. Build those walls so high that nothing, not fear, not doubt, not distraction can ever break through. The next 5 months demand a warrior's mindset. And warriors don't crumble. They rise. They fight. They win. Let me tell you something brutal but true, you can't soar while dragging dead weight. Yeah, I'm talking about everything that's slowing you down. Friends who don't believe in you. Habits that sabotage your progress. Or excuses you keep feeding yourself. If they're not lifting you higher, they're sinking you deeper. Picture this, you're on a ship. The storm's raging. Waves crashing. Your ship is taking on water, but there's an anchor tied to your feet. And that anchor? It's everything you refuse to let go of. Every toxic friendship. Every bad habit. Every excuse. You have two choices, cut it loose or sink with it. Let's be real. Most people drown not because they can't swim, but because they refuse to release what's dragging them under. They hold on to comfort, familiarity, and the illusion of loyalty. They'd rather stay chained to their misery than face the discomfort of freedom. But not you. Nah, not this time. Cutting dead weight isn't easy. It's not supposed to be. It's messy, it's painful. But it's necessary. Think of it like pruning a tree. If you don't cut off the dead branches, they'll suck the life out of the whole thing. And you're that tree. You're meant to grow, to thrive, to reach heights no one thought possible. But only if you're ruthless about what no longer serves you. Look around. Who's holding you back? That friend who only calls when they need something. The one who laughs at your dreams or tells you to be realistic. Cut them loose. That habit that keeps stealing your mornings or wasting your nights. Burn it. That excuse you keep using, I'll start tomorrow, or I'm too tired, bury it so deep it never sees daylight again. This isn't about being cruel. It's about survival. It's about understanding that you can't save everyone, and you definitely can't save yourself while dragging dead weight. People who truly care about you. They'll understand. They'll cheer you on. The ones who don't, they'll reveal themselves the moment you stop carrying them. And here's the truth: once you cut that weight, you'll feel it. The lightness, the freedom, the power. Suddenly the sky doesn't seem so far away and the storm doesn't feel so threatening, because now you're flying without chains. So ask yourself what needs to go. What's keeping you small, heavy, and stuck? Burn it. Bury it. Walk away without looking back. Remember, you're not just cleaning house, you're building a foundation for something extraordinary. And the lighter you are, the higher you'll climb. This isn't the time to hold on. This is the time to let go, ruthlessly, relentlessly, without regret. Because these next 5 months demand it. And you don't have time for anchors. You're meant to fly. Let them think you've fallen. Let them whisper about your failures. Because what they don't see, you're not breaking, you're burning. Every failure, every loss, every setback, it's not the end. Nah, it's the spark that ignites something unstoppable. Picture it. You're the phoenix, wings scorched, body broken. But as the flames consume you, they don't destroy you, they rebuild you. Stronger, fiercer, untouchable. And when the smoke clears, there you are, blazing. A force they can't control. Setbacks aren't chains. They're fuel. Every time life knocks you down, you're not crumbling, you're combusting. And those ashes they thought you'd disappear into, they're the foundation of your rise. Because you don't stay down. You turn pain into power, doubt into determination, loss into leverage. Think about it. How many times have they counted you out, smirked at your struggles, laughed at your losses? They thought those moments would break you, but all they did was feed the fire. And now you're the inferno they can't escape. When they see you again, what will they see? A shadow of who you were. Nah, they'll see flames they can't extinguish. A light so fierce it blinds them. A power so undeniable it shakes them. This is the Phoenix effect. It's about owning your scars, your struggles, your story. It's about rising not despite the pain, but because of it. Every ember, every spark, every flame, it's yours. It's your story of transformation, of turning what should have destroyed you into what defines you. So the question is, when they look at you, will they see defeat? Or will they see someone who turned every failure into fuel? Someone who rose from the ashes of their doubts, burning brighter than ever? You already know the answer. You're not here to crumble, you're here to combust. And when you rise, they won't just see your power, they'll feel the heat of your transformation. But let them stare. Let them wonder. Let them burn with the realization that every setback they hoped would destroy you only made you unstoppable. Because you're the phoenix, and nothing, not doubt, not loss, not failure can keep you from rising. They expect noise, they crave it. The loud announcements, the bragging, the need to be seen. But you, you're different. You're the calm before the chaos, the silence before the storm. And when you strike, they'll never see it coming. You don't need their validation, their attention, their applause. Let them assume you've disappeared. Let them think you're done. They'll laugh, they'll relax. But in the shadows, you're sharpening your blade. Every move, every plan, every step, it's deliberate, silent, deadly. Picture this, you're the storm building in the distance. No thunder, no warning, just a quiet, brooding force gathering strength. By the time they notice, it's too late. The winds have already changed. The skies have already darkened. And you're unstoppable. Silence isn't weakness. It's power. It's the loudest statement you can make. Because while they waste energy announcing their every move, you're conserving yours. growing, evolving, thriving. And when the moment comes, when the shadows part and you emerge, they'll feel the impact. Not of your words, but of your actions. The silence they mocked will be the silence that destroys them. Ever notice how silence unnerves people? It's because they can't predict it, can't control it. And that's your greatest weapon. Let them guess. Let them doubt. Let their imaginations tear them apart while you move in ways they'll never anticipate. You don't owe them your plans, your progress, your power. Keep it locked away like a secret weapon they can't touch. Because when you thrive in silence, your success isn't just yours. It's their nightmare. So here's the challenge. Can you embrace the quiet? Can you thrive without validation, without noise, without approval? Because the shadows aren't your prison. They're your sanctuary. The place where you build, where you grow, where you prepare to dominate. Let them watch. Let them wonder. Let them feel the weight of your silence. And when the time comes to strike, let them drown in the storm they never saw coming. Silence isn't empty, it's full of power. And now it's your greatest ally. This isn't just another year. This is your coronation. The moment the world realizes you weren't just surviving, you were strategizing. These next 5 months, they're the throne room where your crown is forged. Not in gold, but in grit. Not by chance, but by choice. Close your eyes, picture it. The doubters, the critics, the ones who whispered behind your back, they're all watching now. Watching as you rise from the wreckage they thought would bury you. You're not walking toward your destiny, you're storming it. Every step a declaration. Every breath a war cry. Your crown isn't waiting at the end of a straight path. Nah, it's perched at the peak of a mountain no one thought you could climb. And every obstacle you crush, every excuse you reject, every hour you bleed and sweat, that's another jewel in your crown. Another reminder that this kingdom is yours. Let them talk. Let them doubt. Let them wait. Because while they sit in the shadows of hesitation, you're moving. Fast, ruthless, silent. The crown isn't for the loud. It's for the relentless. They'll try to shake you. To plant seeds of doubt. To pull you into their pit of mediocrity. But here's the truth, they can't touch a fire that burns this bright. They can't stop a storm that's already tearing through everything in its path. And when the clock strikes midnight on 2025, what will they see? A king standing tall. Crown blazing in the light of everything they said you couldn't do. You didn't just survive their doubts, you owned them. You turned their disbelief into fuel. So ask yourself, are you ready? Ready to claim what's yours? To wear the crown that's been waiting for the one strong enough to take it? 5 months. That's all you've got. 5 months to leave no doubt, but to conquer every fear. To silence every whisper. Your crown isn't given. It's seized. Your throne isn't offered. It's taken. March forward like the king you are. Because 2025 won't define you, you'll define it. And when it's over, the world will bow to the unstoppable force you've become.